right, guys, here we go. Conquering your trial exams, the abbreviated version for those that couldn't make my session. All right, so let's get moving. So why are the trial exams so important? Goes without saying, but this is your final and very important opportunity to improve your school ranking. Your school ranking in the assessment tasks are going to be an important determinant of your overall ATAR calculation. So we want that ranking to be as high as possible, and this is your final chance to impact that ranking. As a weighting, it's a heavily weighted assessment. 30 to 40% of your internal assessment is determined from the trials. And as well as that, it's a practice run for your final HSC exams beginning in around 111 days. So we need to make sure that you are using this preparation effectively and really giving it your best shot, preparing for weeks at a time, so that when you get to the final HSC exams, you can replicate what you did for the trials. And there will be some trial and error, and you will make some mistakes in terms of your trials preparation. But as long as you've given it your best shot, you're in a much stronger position for your preparation for your final HSC exams. All right, so 38 days to go as of today. What's today? Friday, the 23rd of June. Now, I've said here, will this be the fastest 6 weeks of your life? Now, I pose it will. The next fastest 6 weeks will be the 6 weeks leading into the final HSC exams. Now, as of Monday, the 26th of June, it's actually only 5 weeks. So this week just gone, we're at the end of this week. Today is Friday. So most of you will be starting school holidays today. Then we've got the first week of holidays. Now, historically, most students will say, I need a break. And I think 2 days, maximum 3 days is worthwhile to recharge the batteries. But anything longer than that, we're moving into procrastination and avoidance. We do not have time to have a week off to recharge the batteries. And that will be covered here today. So first week of holidays, we've got to get moving straight into it after you've had your 2 or 3 days off. Then, and for some of you, you don't need to take 2 or 3 days off. And I suggest that that's a good position to be in. Then we're into the second week of holidays for private schools. And first for public, or some private schools are still back at school next week. So second week of holidays for most students though, and in that week, most students will start coming out of the slumber and say, oh, you know what, trial exams, I better get moving with my trial exams preparation. I'll start doing my notes and tidying my room and those kind of things. We need to get moving much faster than that, and I'll cover that today. Then we're into the last week of holidays, July 10th. At that point, we've only got 21 days to go until walking into the trial exam room. And then once we're back at school on July 17th for 2 weeks, well, it's much more difficult to prepare for the trial exam room in these 2 weeks because you're back at school, finishing content, go, school sport is back on, all those things. So these 3 weeks, June 26th, July 3rd, and July 10th, these 3 weeks are critical. And if we leave the trials preparation to the last week of holidays, they're not holidays at all, really. They are a break from school. Panic, anxiety, and feelings of being overwhelmed will ensue. We really need to make sure that these first 3 weeks, or this week's gone, these 2 weeks are put to good use. Now, I haven't even mentioned here what else is happening across this 5-6 week period. Well, are you going away on holidays? Sports training. I know that some of the rugby players have got a 5-day rugby camp. Okay, well, there's not going to be much study happening there. Part-time job, socializing. That is important to maintain some balance across this period. Don't isolate yourself and burn out, and sleep, obviously. So the HSC is a marathon. If 13 years of school were a marathon, a 42-kilometer marathon, we are in the final 1.2 kilometers. And it's about 2.8, 2.7% of total time left. We've got to make sure that we bring it home strong in these final stages. Student key behaviors. We always talk about the student key behaviors to deal with challenges, because if the key behaviors are in place, everything else will take care of itself. We must engage our vision every single day. Why are you doing the task that you don't want to do? Why are you doing the HSC? You are not doing the HSC for fun. If you want to have more motivation, more focus, more energy, and less distraction, less procrastination, the answer is to engage your vision. If you're going through the pain of doing the practice papers, looking at your syllabus, doing all the tasks that you don't want to, preparing for the trial exams, and you're only focused on the pain, not the benefit of going through the pain, it's inevitable that you will get distracted and procrastinate. So how do we engage our vision every single day? We've got to get a vision board in front of us. It's a non-negotiable from my perspective. I was speaking to a student the other day, and he said, I procrastinate and I get distracted, Jesse. What should I do? Well, do you have your goals in front of you? No, you don't. So that is why you are procrastinating and getting distracted, because you're not connected with the why. Having your goals in front of you every single day is going to ensure that you do stay connected. Now, the virtual vision board in the portal can be printed. It's a nice PDF, beautiful PDF. You print it out, stick it on your wall, boom. That's why I'm doing the HSC. Planning, these next 38 days will go quickly. As I've said, we've got well-intentioned and ineffective, and well-intentioned and effective study. We need to make sure that every time that we are studying, it is well-intentioned and effective. Any ineffective tasks are going to mean that you're not going to utilize the limited time that you have effectively, leading to feelings of being overwhelmed and anxiety leading into the exam room. We need to break tasks into smaller chunks so you don't become overwhelmed. And that breaking tasks into smaller chunks has to happen next week and the week after, not 3 weeks before the trial exams, because when we are closer and closer to the event, it's much more difficult to break tasks into smaller chunks. We go into panic, we go into cram mode. Great HSC students are proactive. We know the format of the trial exams, so there is no excuse not to be prepared. Look through past papers, look through past HSC papers, as many as you can, attempt as many different practice questions as you can, get it down to the minute in terms of how long each section of the exam will take you. And you can do that because we know what the format of the exam is. Again, we've got to get moving on these things very quickly. For English, essay building templates are the planning tool for effectively planning for the exam room. A strong essay building template for English for each of your modules will allow you to deal with any essay question. We've got to be nimble, dynamic, and flexible with whatever question they give us. And a strong essay building template will allow you to go through the different questions. And remember, we always start each session by eating frogs first. Always do the task that you don't want to do first. I do my burpees in the morning. I got up early. It's dark this morning. I've done my 300 burpees. Still got 200 to do because it's Friday 500. But I feel great because I've got my 300 burpees done. Same for you as students. Get those tasks done that you don't want to do, and you've set yourself up for a great day. As I said to a student the other day, you want to stack the wins. And if you start getting some wins early in the day, you can build some momentum instead of putting off. Now, how many hours? I've already covered this. Everyone has 24 hours in a day. How you utilize the hours that you have available to you is the most important thing. Now, if you study 6 hours per day, effective study, some students will do more than that. Some students will be struggling to reach 6 hours, but we recommend definitely aim for 6 hours per day. If you do that 6 hours per day, 6 days a week, let's say you have 1 day off, maybe you won't, but let's say you do, that's 36 hours per week. Now we've got that 3-week break from school for most of you. That equates to 108 hours over a 3-week break. Now for a student studying 10 units, 5 subjects, that equates to 21 hours per 2-unit subject. So we need to make sure that you're aware of the very limited time that you have available. 21 hours per for English, 21 hours for maths, 21 hours for business studies, whatever the subject might be. Now, English has 5 sections in the exam. So 21 hours to prepare for 5 different sections. That allows 4 hours per section of the English exam. And if you ask, if any student is 4 hours, if you've only got 4 hours to prepare for that particular module of work, the student is going to say that is not enough time. Most students would prefer to have 40 hours for a module of work, but they simply don't have it. You've only got 4 hours. So you've got to make sure that you are extremely effective with the time that you allocate to each of your subjects, each of your modules. We do not have time for that ineffective study, such as notes. So creating a study timetable. There is no single formula in terms of creating an effective study timetable that is going to suit every single student. But here are some questions that students should be asking of themselves in determining the best study timetable for them. So what result rank do I want to achieve for each of my subjects? If I'm aiming to get a top ranking for any of my subjects, I'm going to need to have to put in the hard yards to make sure that I've earned that ranking. What sacrifices am I prepared to make over the next 38 days in order to achieve my goals? Well, as I've said, definitely you do need to socialize, but maybe you can't socialize as much as you would like in an ideal world. Post HSC, you can socialize as much as you like. Love Island, and I do think the Channel 9 have put out Love Island at this stage of the year to distract HSC students away from studying for their HSC. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But maybe you need to sacrifice watching Love Island, sacrifice social media, etc. Which topics, texts are my weakest and need the most attention? Rather than putting those off and trying to deal with them in 3 weeks' time, let's deal with them now. You'll feel better for it. What sections of the trial exams am I most nervous about? Well, we're only going to find that out by looking at the different sections of the paper and being very familiar with the various aspects of the different exams. Which topics text have I submitted the least for on the CoWorks portal? Generally, that will be the same as these two, the weakest and the sections that the student is most nervous about. Look through your marked work and make sure that you are submitting work in those weaker topics. Back and forth with the markers. The more you're doing that now, in a few weeks' time, you'll be able to look back and say, I'm so glad I did those essay submissions 2 weeks ago, rather than I'm doing these essay submissions 6 days before the trials, and whatever feedback they give me, I don't have time to actually implement it. Now is the time to get submitting. What time of the day do I work best? I did speak to a student the other day and they said after 8:30 p.m. I am not very good. So that's fine, know that, but that means you've got to work effectively during the day. And finally, how can I be methodical, comprehensive, or thorough in my approach towards being prepared for the trial exams? The students that get those top rankings are very thorough in their approach. They will have it down to the minute, how long each section takes. They've looked at endless trial papers. They've done lots and lots of different practice questions. They've done essays under time conditions. They know their syllabus inside out. They know their English quotes inside out. So what's going to be the best way for you to get on top of all of your trial exams campaign? We recommend using the planning pad to structure each day. So always complete the My Why section. What's your frog for English? What's your frog for maths? What's your frog for business studies? Tick those tasks off and start another planning pad the next day. And if you've got your goals in front of you, that will help you identify the tasks that you don't want to do. And if you're always doing the tasks that you don't want to do, you're on track to be prepared for the exam room. Train daily. So with this key behavior, we are talking about training your brain to be able to easily recall all of the foundational content that make up each of your subjects. If we can't do the little things well, how can we expect to do the big things well? So I ask students this question over and over again. If you can recall your English quotes, do you feel more confident writing a practice essay? 100% of students that I've asked that question to have said, yes, I would feel more confident writing a practice essay. Okay, well, that means we've got to train our brain with the quotes so that you can do more practice essays. So our brain craves certainty. So let's make sure that our brain has certainty around those quotes, because that is going to give you the opportunity to write practice essays. The trial exams are the opposite of certainty. Where does the uncertainty lie? What are they going to ask me? How am I going to perform in the exam? My time management in the exam, how am I going to go? All of those things. So we need to make sure that we are training daily under exam conditions to give ourselves the certainty that we can go into the exam and perform at the highest level. And if we've got that certainty, we can stay calm and composed in the days leading up to the exam room. The goal is to get your brain fired and wired across all of your foundational content. So English quotes, other subjects like bio, business, PDHPE, economics, chemistry, modern history, ancient history. It's all about the syllabus and associated ideas. Maths, formulas, equations, different types of questions. The goal is to get your brain fired and wired across all of that foundational content. A vague and uncertain brain is not going to be able to appropriately prepare for the trial exams room. Do you have the capability to know your foundational content better than any other student at your school? Now, the answer to that question, of course, is yes, you do have that capability. Well, guess what you must do? You must go and know your foundational content better than any other student. The kids that are going to get first, second, or third in their trial exams, they know their foundational content better than any other student. And that is one of the reasons that has allowed them to get to that level. They also write more practice essays, do more practice exams as a result of being confident with their foundational content. We recommend mind maps, mind map after mind map after mind map. And it's a great momentum builder. In those moments where you don't know what to do a mind map from memory. If mom or dad says dinner's going to be ready in 10 minutes, I'll do another mind map. I come back from dinner, I'm tired, I don't want to do any more work, I'll do another mind map. I spoke to one of our coaches last week around this, and he was an ex-student of CoWorks, and he counted that he did over 500 mind maps leading into the trials, or leading into trials and the final HSC exams. Mind map after mind map after mind map is going to set you up to be able to do more practice exams, more practice essays, because you feel very confident. And if you train your brain with the pattern of the mind map, you're essentially going into the exam room with the mind maps in your head, and you can easily recall the shape and the pattern of the mind map. And anyone going into the exam room with the mind maps in their head is obviously going to be in a stronger position than those students that just had pages and pages of notes and they're just drowning. I cannot recall any of this content. Let's train your brain with the pattern of the mind map. Pushing your comfort zone, you must push your comfort zone so that when you go into the exam room, that is within your comfort zone. Doing study notes is the opposite of pushing your comfort zone. Without struggle, there is no progress. If you're not struggling when you're studying, that means you're not making any progress. So how do you push your comfort zone? Intro paragraph challenge questions and getting marker feedback. Essay submissions for marker feedback. Timed essays, full exam conditions, practice exams, full exam conditions. And if you've trained daily with your foundational content under exam conditions, the syllabus mind maps, quote write-outs, and so on, then you will have set yourself up to push your comfort zone. If you don't want to push your comfort zone, that means that you need to do more work training your brain with the foundational content. Grit. Quitters never win and winners never quit. It's going to be a challenge this next 39 days leading into the trial exams, but it's going to be worth it. Setbacks, obstacle, failure, and mistakes, they are key ingredients for success. So let's embrace those events, because every time you do get a setback or find a mistake, you've made progress towards getting to where you need to get to. As Winston Churchill once said, if you're going through hell, keep going. It's going to be a tough period, but you will come out the other side and there's a break waiting for you post trials. And finally, own it. There is only one person that can make this happen, and that, of course, is you. You've got to fully commit if you really want to get those fantastic trial exams results. No one is coming to rescue you. You've got to own it. take responsibility. If it's to be, it is up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. Examples of owning it: always eating frogs first. Do the task that you don't want to do first. Book your Zoom and expert sessions now, not 5 days before the trial exams. And I suggest making sacrifices such as a social media detox, a Love Island detox, whatever it might be. Make some sacrifices, not for fun, because you want to finish your HSC with no regrets. Schoolies will be 100 times better knowing that you had no regrets. You did everything that you could. And there's obviously other aspects to finishing a great HSC result, or finishing with a great HSC result. So as you can see, if the key behaviors are in place, everything else will take care of itself from there. Now, if what I've covered today, you would like a personalized approach in terms of supporting you come on board with these key behaviors and walking into the trial exam room, with no regrets, you've done everything that you could, book a session with me. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8:30 to 9:30. I'm available for a 20-minute to 30-minute call, and I can support you make sure that your trials preparation is as strong as it possibly can be. Hope that's been of some assistance, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.